Hi, this is Cynthia Horner from Right on Digital, and I am here with Jocko, who is going to talk about his role as Dr. Floyd Reynolds on New Amsterdam. So welcome, Jocko Sims. We are so happy to connect with you. You've done so much great work in film and television. So we will jump right in and we'll first discuss what has it been like playing the person who was in charge of the cardiology surgery department on the series?
Hi, Cynthia. It's so good to be with you. And I got to tell you, sounds a little cliche, but literally is a dream come true. I set out to actually be a real doctor when I left school. So once I became an actor and started to get jobs, I always wanted to play one. And so I feel like I've hit my goal twofold in a way. You know, I could sort of get the feel of what it's like. I get to work side by side with real doctors and surgeons and nurses. I get to learn some life-saving techniques and some terminology, and I get to also be an actor. So it's literally the best job I've had.
Yes, now I did notice in your bio that you had been interested in going to medical school. How did that actually segue? Because you said you started getting jobs, but is it that you made that detour?
Yeah, great question. I actually got to college and I just had this, I don't know what it was really. I don't know what made me say, one thing I knew for sure, I'll say this. I didn't want to be in school for the next 12 years. I wanted to get my life started. So I took theater course. I took theater. The first year at school, I was at University of Houston in Texas. And I saw myself separate from being an actor because I wasn't an actor. And thankfully, that theater department there and the faculty, accepted me with open arms and said, "You're an actor, come on in." And I fell in love with theater, and the rest is history.
Wow, I've heard that type of story told by some other actors as well.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting when you said you didn't want to be in school for 12 years.
Yeah.
I totally get that. And also, you look so great on camera that I think that the fact that you were able to segue into this is actually really all for the best. And you have gotten a lot of work because prior to, of course, getting a New Amsterdam, you have been on various television series that we all know and love. So what has been your secret to getting all this work?
I love that question. I think my determination is very key and crucial. I always liked, there's something that carry over from school. I always liked to impress my folk that I looked up to, my teachers, my professors. Once I started taking theater courses, I wanted to be the best in the class. And I had that little bit of competitive edge, friendly competition with my friends, my lifelong friends who I still have who were my pupils there in the theater department. But I wanted to get up and I wanted to be the best. And so I often went into, transitioning into auditioning. It was that same sort of drive. I have to be the best here. And oftentimes, and I mentor young actors and I tell them this a lot, that even when you don't get the role, you may have still been the best. I've had casting directors tell me years ago that, "Gosh, you're the best one for this part. We literally can't give you a call back because you're not necessarily right for the part or right what they're looking for. But I'm glad to know you, and you did this better than everyone else." And that kept me going. For the times that I didn't actually book a job, but just to get good feedback was all I needed. It just helped me to realize that I was on the right path.
Oh, that's a great answer. Now, going back to New Amsterdam, tell us some takeaway moments from being on that series. What have you enjoyed the most?
I think thinking back, what I will remember the most is just I mean, I literally just came from Brooklyn, and I had to do a table read for our 7th episode of this final season. And I'm sitting there with Cedra May Frank and Tyler Labine and Janet Montgomery and Ryan Eggold, and you know, we're cracking jokes, and our great producing director Don Scardino. Just the camaraderie and the fun we have. And we're doing this very serious show in this particular episode that's coming up far down the line. So serious. I mean, the subject matter, by the end of the episode, oftentimes we're crying, but just interjecting those jokes in between in such a serious show and giving us a little bit of levity of that lightness and comedy and looking at each other and riffing off of each other. It's what I'm going to remember the most. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. Now, cardiology is no joke. What has been, how did you prepare for the role? Did you actually meet with anybody in that particular field, or did you just kind of go by what the script had for you?
Yeah, I actually got to meet with the head of the cardiothoracic surgery department at Bellevue Hospital, and our show is based on Bellevue Hospital. We couldn't use that name, so we called it New Amsterdam. But Norma Keller, I think it was Dr. Norma back then. Now it's been almost 5 years. And she was fantastic. It was great. I didn't want to take up too much of her time because she's very, very busy, but getting to meet with her and again, working side by side on a daily basis with Dr. Jeff and our nurses, our resident nurses that come in and play our background actors. And they do that because they want it to be authentic and make sure it's easier
Right.
for us. You know, we don't have to teach everybody how to perform. And that's great. And that's where I get most of my inspiration and my knowledge is from them.
Okay. You've been a great role model to people all over the world that can see you in all these different parts. When people meet you on the street and they recognize you, what question do they usually want to ask you?
Got asked this question about 20 minutes ago. And this is the question I get all the time. If you're in a life-saving situation, can you actually help? Would you be able to help? My answer is always no. Better call a real doctor. You can't rely on that. And oftentimes I'll learn something that's very difficult, or learn some difficult terminology, or learn some interesting surgical technique. And I got to tell you, I can't retain it all. I mean, gosh, we do 22 episodes a year. This season we're doing 13, but as soon as I leave that scene, I go into the next scene and I have to memorize my lines for that, and I forget. So God forbid I ever be in a situation like that. There's some other things that I've learned, some life-saving techniques that I think that we all should know. But outside of that, no.
Okay, we're going to be wrapping it up, but I just want to ask you, what is your secret to great grooming?
Oh, well, I'll give a shout out to my 2 barbers. One of them's name is Reggae and the other one is Chaz. And these guys are legendary in New York. And they take care of my hair and my hairline and my or lack thereof. And I'm glad you asked that question. That's the key, you know, having a great barber and hairstylist if you are able to. And as far as myself, you know, I like to try different products. I like trying different skincare products, and you know, one year I may be on to one thing, and the other, you know, another kind another time. So, but I think just trying things out and finding what works for you works for me. I actually never got that question before, so I really appreciate that.
I love asking questions people haven't asked before. But I want to thank you so much for doing this interview for Right On Digital. And don't be a stranger. You have a home with us.
Oh, thank you, Cynthia. It's been my
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you. Have a great day. Goodbye.